Welcome back, everyone, to another one of our game recaps. Today, we're going to be looking over the games from Monday Night Football of September 18th. First one was the Saints and the Panthers. The Saints took this one 20-17. Derek Carr looks very Derek Carr-ish. No touchdowns and a pick, but he spread the ball around. He got this team to a win. Don't expect the world of him, but you can absolutely do worse than Derek Carr. 21-36 today, 228 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. Taysom Hill also had a pass for 8 yards. Hill also led the way in rushing, 9 carries for 75 yards. Very Taysom Hill-ish. I don't think he had a catch in this game. Oh, he did have one for -1, but yeah, very Taysom Hill-ish. This is about what a regular tight end would get you too, so you could do worse than Taysom Hill at tight end, but I just wouldn't count on him for consistent production because there are going to be games where he just gets you 0 points. But there are going to be games like this where he gets you 7.5, and then there are going to be other ones where he gets you 20, and he's just kind of all over the place. But hey, that variance beats a lot of middle of the road tight ends right now, anyway. So decent option there. Tony Jones took over the reins after Jamaal Williams went down with an injury. He was 12 of 34 with 2 touchdowns. Those 2 touchdowns are awesome. Not very efficient from the Saints backfield today because before Jamaal Williams went down, he had 9 carries for 29 yards, and Derek Carr had 3 carries for -4. Really even stuff from the Saints receivers today. 6 catches for 86 yards for Chris Olave on 11 targets. He led the way. Rashid Shaheed had 4 catches for 63 yards. Michael Thomas, he did a lot of his damage early. 7 catches for 55 yards. This is more of what I expect. Chris Olave is going to be the clear lead guy. And then you're going to have Michael Thomas, who's going to rack up receptions. I think he's going to get touchdowns also. And Rashid Shaheed is probably going to get a whole bunch of yards. So those 3 guys are going to be the main ones. We were expecting a little bit more out of Juwan Johnson so far. 2 catches for 13 yards on 3 targets today. And Foster Moreau actually outpaced him. He had 2 catches for 20 yards, but he did have 1 less target. Keith Kirkwood didn't haul in his only target. Tony Jones didn't haul in either of his 2. And Taysom Hill, like we said earlier, had that 1 catch for -1. So this Saints receiver room is starting to take shape. Kendre Miller might be back next game, so don't expect too much from Tony Jones going forward. And this Jamaal Williams, they haven't really named the severity of it yet either, but keep an eye on that. I'm not expecting too much from Jamaal Williams going forward, especially since Kamara is back after the next game anyways. So don't worry too much about him. And Derek Carr, still looking like the Derek Carr of old. For the Panthers, Bryce Young, it's frustrating watching him because you see the good. He's very poised. He takes care of the ball, high completion percentage, no pick. He did have the fumble, but he has no receivers at all to work with. Only 153 yards passing on 22 of 33, 1 touchdown and no picks. Frustrating, but not because of any of Bryce Young's faults. It's more because that receiver room is a total graveyard right now. Miles Sanders led the way for all rushers. He had 14 carries for 43 yards. Bryce Young added 34 on the ground. Chuba Hubbard had 2 carries for 16. And Laviska Shenault had 1 carry for 7. Adam Thielen led the way for all receivers. This is what I'm talking about. 7 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. Chuba Hubbard had a really exceptional day by this receivers room standards. 5 catches for 34 yards for him. Caught all of his targets. Jonathan Mingo, the rookie, I expect him to have more of a role as the season goes on. 3 catches for 26 yards on 8 targets. I think him and Bryce Young are going to develop more of a chemistry as we go forward. Hayden Hurst, he had a tough matchup. The Saints usually play the tight ends pretty well. So this could be a good opportunity to buy low on him. 3 catches for 20 yards for him. DJ Chark just had the 1 catch for 15. I was expecting a little more from him because Terrace Marshall got a whole bunch of targets last week, but just the 1 target from him today. And Miles Sanders had 3 catches for 4. Be patient with Miles Sanders because he's still getting a ton of volume. I mean, 14 carries to Chuba Hubbard's 2 is pretty significant. And Bryce Young, more of a dynasty play right now because he just doesn't have anybody to throw to. Next game is the Browns and the Steelers. The Steelers took this one 26-22. Deshaun Watson, we have definitely seen better Deshaun Watson games than this. 22 of 40 for 235 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Jerome Ford led the way for all rushers. He had 16 carries for 106 yards. And Nick Chubb had a really brutal knee injury. We hope that rehab process goes smoothly, and hopefully something that bad doesn't affect the rest of his career either. That would be the best news that we could hear tomorrow. He had 10 carries for 64 yards, but he's a drop in all redraft leagues for sure. Deshaun Watson had 6 carries for 22 yards. Saw a little bit more rushing production from him last week. Elijah Moore had a carry for 5, and Pierre Strong vultured a touchdown, but he had the 2 carries for 1. And I think he really only got that touchdown because it was after Jerome Ford broke this 69-yarder over here. So Jerome Ford was gassed. They put in Pierre Strong, and they were right in front of the goal line anyways, and he got the touchdown. So I wouldn't read into that touchdown too much. Amari Cooper, he was supposed to miss today because he re-aggravated that groin injury. All the news leading up to today was that he wasn't going to play, but here he is, 7 catches, 90 yards on 10 targets, a really good day from him. David Njoku had 4 catches for 48 yards. This is a solid day by normal tight end standards so far. Elijah Moore just had the 3 catches for 36, but 9 targets. That's definitely notable. David Bell had 3 catches for 27. Jerome Ford had 3 catches for 25 and a touchdown. He is absolutely going to be the number 1 waiver wire pickup on everybody's board. It totally makes sense. The only thing that could go wrong is that they sign Kareem Hunt or they trade for Jonathan Taylor. But, I mean, when you have somebody who's already thriving and the reins are clearly being handed over to him, I think you just got to make that ad. Just put him at number 1 and hope that you get him, and spend a good amount of your fab budget on him too, because it really seems like he's worth it. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a catch for 7, and Jordan Akins had a catch for 2. So good to see Amari Cooper out there. Even though he was injured, he still put up a really solid day. David Njoku, you saw where a good tight end can build from there, but I wouldn't expect too much from him. And absolutely use your number 1 waiver claim placement on Jerome Ford and a healthy amount of your fab budget. For the Steelers, Kenny Pickett did not look very good, but he's had back-to-back bad matchups. He had the 49ers last week and the Browns here. So it might be because of the bad matchups. We'll just have to see next week, but a little bit concerned for the future of Kenny Pickett in redraft leagues here. 15 of 30, 222 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Najee Harris led the way for all rushers. He had 10 carries for 43 yards. Good to see a 4.3 yard average because Jaylen Warren just had the 6 carries for 20 yards, 3.3 average for him. Calvin Austin had a carry for -2, and Kenny Pickett had 4 carries for -6. This is where Jaylen Warren really did most of his work. 4 catches for 66 yards. He looked really explosive. It would not surprise me to see Jaylen Warren have more of a role in future games. And George Pickens finally showing up with that potential that is just sky high. 4 catches, 127 yards, 10 targets, and a touchdown. Really, a lot of these targets weren't hauled in because Kenny Pickett wasn't putting it on him. But George Pickens is going to be a legit star. Hang on to him. Don't trade him. He is legit. Allen Robinson just had the 2 catches for 12 yards. Interesting that he only had the 3 targets coming off of last week. Calvin Austin just had the 1 catch for 10 on 4 targets. Miles Boykin had a catch for 5. Pat Freiermuth just had 1 target, a catch for 2. Najee Harris just had a catch for 0 yards on 3 targets, and Gunnar Olszewski had 1 catch for 0 yards. I think he fumbled it, though. But, yeah, I'm all the way in on George Pickens. He is a legit star, and look out for Jaylen Warren to have more of a role here. And if you have Kenny Pickett, I think he's a safe drop at this point. And that'll do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow @WeAreDrafting on Instagram, and I will see you later.